Hello, everybody. Welcome to Geopolitics in Conflict show. I'm your host, Dr. David Waradu. I wanted to talk to you today about the Department of Justice, U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ, dropping the case against the Chinese American scientist. And I'm going to get into the name. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, it's also to highlight one particular issue that is going on. But first of all, let me just provide a brief background for those who might not know the background of the story of what this is all about. So, because it just happened yesterday when they dropped actually 2 days ago, a day and a half ago, and I was following on it, but I wasn't sure yet before I wanted to report. So I sort of the information was indeed confirmed. So what happened basically is that the Department of Justice dropped the charges against the MIT technology professor, and his name is Chen. I hope I pronounce it correctly. So, and what happened is that that the prosecutors basically, or they were saying that they didn't have enough evidence. So during the court filing, because the court filing is public information. So and this one, because they were saying what the Chinese born mechanical engineer and nanotechnologist Gang Cheng's has allegedly omit disclosing some information, and that's what he was accused of. He was accused, and I use the term accused in quote, accused of failing to disclose, among other things, that he served, as an overseas expert. Well, he's a scientist, even if it were the case, that's what we would expect from a scientist, to use his knowledge for so. But the Justice Department argument was that, or accusations was that the professor failed to disclose that he was an overseas expert for the Chinese government, and also this saying that he failed to disclose that he sat on the advisory board of and the word of this university, I hope I pronounce it correctly, Shenzhen's, Southern University of Science. This is in and technology, which is a big university apparently in China. When the professor applied for grants, here's the thing. Here's how it works in the US. If you are a scientist, you can apply for grants either through Department of Energy, Department of State, Department of Defense, whatever, However, there are some forms that needs to be filled out in which you disclose if you do have any other funding coming from other institutions or entities outside the US. Basically, what it is to ensure that there is no conflict of interest. And the simple reason to that is, if any entity or whomever, if they get funding or grants, they're going to have some sort of a say into that, not into the science aspects of it, but at least because it's their money that they're providing with. And in the forms, when you apply for this, at least according to the US laws, you have to disclose that. However, what happened with his case is that the newly appointed attorney, her name is Rachel Rawling, he disclosed that the prosecutors basically had no evidence. They could no longer prove their case at trial. And what she ended up saying, Rachel, is that the prosecutors needed to drop the case because there is no case to begin with. Even Chen's lawyer, his name is Robert Fisher. His lawyer said that his client, Professor Chen, disclosed everything he was supposed to disclose. So, and he never lied to the government or anyone else. So it becomes the question, Was he targeted because he was born in China? I mean, let's say it's straightforward. Or if he happens to be born in some other country, it won't matter, right? It shouldn't be. You're a scientist, you are following the science. That's how it's supposed to work, And it makes me wonder, and this is my personal opinion, would have been the same case if that scientists were from, let's say, England, UK, France, Germany, Canada, Australia, New Zealand? Will the Justice Department do the same? It's because it's reality, guys. If we are to say, and I speak as an American here, if we are to say we are a nation of laws, then we need to uphold the law and don't cherry pick. Start to base the judgment on ethnicity. Yeah, he happened to be born in China. So what? He followed the rule by disclosing everything that asked of him to disclose. He didn't hide anything. He didn't. So what are we going after the guy just because he was born in China? Once again, the question that I put before you is, would have been the same case if this scientist happens to be from UK or Canada or Germany or France or Australia or New Zealand? Because we have to be fair. To me, when you say justice for all, that means justice for all, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your religious views, regardless of your political orientation. Because that's what this justice is. And unfortunately, and I'll say it sadly, that even our justice system is flawed right here at home. I live here in America, I see. So, I must say something here. I must tip my hat. Truly, I tip my hat to MIT faculties. Why? Because all of them rallied behind Cheng's case. Because he's a colleague. You don't look at your colleague just because he was born somewhere else. You look at him differently, or you treat him differently. So I tip my hat to MIT faculties. They rallied behind him. They collected money for legal fees to support him. So my hat to them, truly, because you give credit when credit is due. And how is all this happens? Because Professor Chen was charged, unjustly. We use the term unjustly. Was charged, that was at the beginning of January, basically, as part of the Department of Justice. There's a program called China Initiatives, and this is not new, by the way. The China Initiative was launched back during the time of the previous President Trump, because the previous administration was saying, what we need to counter suspected Chinese economic espionage and research theft. Because the program in itself, it became very, very flawed. Now, mind you, that it was a case, and I'm going to touch on it because I was following on this case way back a few months ago from a Harvard professor. And I'll get into that. Let me finish this section first about Professor Chen. So, and because here is the thing now, you start to think, if we are to use the law unjustly to target specific sectors of society, in this case, academia, what are you going to be doing to the research? Are we going to be targeting all foreign researchers right here in the US through this racial profiling? In this case of the Professor Chen happens to be Chinese born, because he was born in China. Because here's the thing. Professor Chen is not the only case. There was a professor in Tennessee who was also acquitted by the judge last year following the same scenario, because prosecutors dropped the case also against other 6 researchers. Because here's what happened. When you have a program like the, as I mentioned earlier, the China initiative, when you have a program like that, because even the current administration, by the way, Joe Biden administration, is continuing the initiative. However, the Justice Department, after this case, they just declared this morning. They're saying that they're going to review their approach to this. So, because it is very, very problematic, And I do remember hearing the statements by the Chinese representative of the foreign ministry. Usually he did mention that, which is the right thing to do and say. You cannot comment on illegal procedures of other country. That's the norm. That's a diplomatic protocol. But at the same time, you can be just making excuses, meaning the legal procedures, making excuses to smear or suppress. In this case, it happens to be a Chinese scientist. And by no means, guys, I am not defending anybody here. I am defending what's right, Chinese or not, because that's the right thing to do. Because what this is going to do is going to now interfere, because now you play in politics with, research. Why do you get the damn politics into research instead of working together? Because that's what's going to be now. It's going to be this mistrust. Can we have an exchange program, for example, for scientists to develop stuff that can be used for all of us humans, that we all can benefit from? Because that's what it's supposed to be, this exchange and cooperation between nations, whatever they might be, in this case, China and the US. I mean, can you imagine if we truly embark on this cooperation in science, in technology, in energy, in space, in you name it? Where will be for all of us humans? Let's just put identity aside, nationality aside, and we look at each other as humans. Because now this case truly proved that justice is not being served right when you start just accusing people willy-nilly just because they look different, just because they came from somewhere else. That is not right. That is not right. And that's why, as soon as I saw this last night, I wanted to share this with you, because you guys need to know. And I hope there are some US viewers who can, watch this and understand. When we say justice for all, we mean for all. There is an old Chinese saying that goes like this, based on my understanding, because I looked at the translation for it. I don't know if I'm getting it right or not. Is that you can always find an excuse to smear a person is still valid till today. Because that's exactly what this case is. So, because the problem with this initiative that the Justice Department has, it's called the China Initiative, the problem with it, it's because it's gonna presumes and predetermines the targets before investigation and handling down the cases. So in other words, under this program or this initiative, China Initiative, we already made the preconceived notion, oh, that person is guilty already, which is not supposed to be. You have to have evidence. The professor disclosed all the information. So why are we sort of turning the truth, flipping the truth, and wrongfully convicted the guy. Do we have an idea how much that's going to impact his life? Yeah, because here's the thing, which usually was not disclosed in the media here, is that even for the last couple of years, 2 years or so, since the program started, the vast majority of cases, under this program did not involve intellectual property rights or commercial theft. It did not, which tells you right there, it was geared at a specific ethnicity. Because this is, to me personally, and I am not a lawyer, I am not a legal scholar, but I understand what's right and wrong, because this one is basically a reckless disregard for the law and justice. Because once you start to have this imposition of charges, that just, that's not right. And this is what prompted about 2,000 scholars across the country here in universities. We never heard about it on mainstream media, major networks. They never talked about this one here. I'm in academia. You kind of, if faculty talks, you can reach out to another faculty elsewhere and exchange ideas and so forth. There were 2,000 scholars from across the country that sent a letter to the Attorney General, questioning this program. Just in Yale University itself. Yale is known for law also, law school. Yeah. There was about almost 190 faculty that sent a letter to the Attorney General. And their argument was that the program is flawed, fundamentally flawed. Because it's just not right. Now, as I told you, I will talk to you about the other case of the Harvard professor. Now, the Harvard professor justly had to be some sort of put in trial. It's because he did not disclose the information. He knew better. And this is where I say, why do you have to hide something? And he ended up ruining his career, his life, his family, destroy everything. Why? Because he chose not to be honest and come forward. Now, the person in question here is Dr. Charles Lieber. He was the former chair of Harvard University Chemistry and Chemical Biology Department. Why he was charged? Because he was indicted rather, on charges that he made false statements to federal authority, which, by the way, in our laws, if you lie to a federal authority, that's considered a federal crime. It's under the statute. And what it has to do? It has to do with his participation in China program. There is now, China has a program called 1,000 Talents Program. So I can see the rationale and the reason for why he will be indicted for that. Why didn't you disclose it? That's like for me, for example, if I am to consult a foreign government, if I am to do this, I can't just do this willy-nilly. I have to register in Washington, D.C. That doesn't mean the government can tell me, no, you can't advise that government. It's not their damn business. However, it is the law that I have to register if I am to advise a foreign government about, usually if I am to advise, I advise on geopolitical matters, political matters. In this case of Dr. Charles Lieber, he did not disclose that. Well, the question becomes, why not? Why do you have to hide? Even if you receive funding from some China institute, so what? You disclose that one and life goes on. Because again, making a false statement is a federal crime here in the US according to the statute. And those charging documents, actually, it goes way back. His case goes few years back, as far back as about 2009, based on some reading that I've done on the guy, because he was born in Philadelphia, and I used to live close to Philly back then. So well, also because Dr. Lieber has his own lab. It's called the Lieber Research Group, which was in Harvard University. Why? Because Harvard received the funding from the Department of Defense. And his specialty was in the area of nanoscience. So you can just see why the Department of Defense will allocate that one. As a matter of fact, his research lab or research group, whatever you want to call it, has been funded by about more than $15 million in grants. And the grants came from two main sources. One is the National Institute of Health, or NIH. And the second one was the Department of Defense. And one of the requirements in this case, when they give you the form to fill up, is you have to disclose if there are or were other grants from other sources outside. That's where he failed to disclose that. Why not? Because at that time, if he would have disclosed that, said, yes, there is a lab that I am working with, which is not against the law to work with another university in China, in this case, then the Department of Defense or the NIH will make their decision whether to grant him the money or not. Once again, it's because there's a requirement to disclose whether there is a collaboration with a foreign entity. Once again, it's not against the law. It just had to be disclosed. Maybe he got nervous. Maybe whatever his reasons are. Beside the point, he should have disclosed that information, especially when he became what's called a strategic scientist at Wuhan University of Technology in China. Once again, it falls under academia, which is nothing wrong with it, but the problem is he didn't disclose that. And that becomes a problem for him. But in case of the Professor Chen, it's a different story. Was targeted just because of his ethnicity, which is wrong, because he disclosed everything. And this is where I see the challenges of, you can apply the law only to one segment of society, but not other. You can be cherry picking only to do this, but not that. If we are to say, which is under even our Constitution, justice for all. Even when you go, for example, here in Washington, D.C., when you go to Washington, when you go to the Supreme Court, at the building, at the top, you see the blindfolded lady with the scale that is even. Why is that? It signifies that equality under the law for all, rich or poor. Unfortunately, our system has flaws on it when it comes down to the justice, because the rich here can get away with it. What about the common man? What about the average person? Because it's not right. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys, just to let you know, because I felt it's an important case to highlight also, because Justice Department cannot just be doing whatever. No one should have that authority to just do whatever. We all saw what happened after 9/11, and there were some incidents, but the system shouldn't be working that way. Because if we are to say that we are a nation of laws, then we need to uphold the law for everyone. Because that person who does not have money, that person who does not have connections, that person who does not have knowledge, whatever, should be given the opportunity that his right or her right will be protected. No one is above the law. So when we say, we hear it a lot, but in practice, it becomes different. So the case of Professor Chen demonstrate this one here. Once again, the question that you need to ask yourself is, truly, was it because of his national origin that he was targeted that way or unjustly accused? That question you can answer. I have my own answer. That's usually what I see the flaw with it. So I wanted to just share this with you guys and provide you some brief understanding of why this could be problematic, because it could be problematic. I hope this will be a wake-up call, and that initiative, that China initiative program in the Department of Justice, needs to be revamped, and we all know what it all means. So if I am to put quickly my analyst hat, it's because the fear of how those changes that's coming on the global stage, including in the case of China, moving forward economically, scientifically, militarily as well. On the military side, with the US still ahead, but that doesn't mean that China cannot catch up to that. Where the difference, excuse me, where the difference is that this fear now of there is an emerging superpower, that now we are lost. What's need to be done, how we can approach it, and when you start embarking on policies like this, that's not the right approach. That's not the right approach. And I think that's why this program is flawed from the get-go, because they're gonna now take a look at it. I don't know if President Biden is gonna give the order by get rid of this program, because it's not right. It's gonna now impact academia. Put politics aside, but it's gonna be impacting academia. That academic exchange that exists between countries, it's gonna be gone. And why give that up when the scientists can work together to create or come up with something that can benefit all of us? That's part of where the problem is, and I think some of us do not see far enough. As they say, there's a saying that don't ever look at the end of your nose. You have to look very, very, very far. So to me, that's short-sighted on the part of the Department of Justice. I'm not criticizing them. They can do whatever they want. That's their prerogatives. But you call spade a spade. When something is wrong, you call it. And that's why I decided to share this with you. So I hope you find this informative. By the way, guys, I am going to be doing an analysis, a brief one that is, because as you know, I can't talk in detail here about the Polish president's statement. So I think I'm going to do this in about 2 or 3 hours from now. So I hope you can join me for that, because I'm going to provide some insights just for you to consider, given what's going on right now in Europe, in Eastern Europe, and how the Olympics are getting closer. Also with the movement of the 3 aircraft carriers, U.S. aircraft carriers that go in near China, and what does it mean and all that stuff. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. So hope you find this information useful. And as always, I thank you, of course, for your support. We appreciate you. So look forward to seeing you soon. And as always, till next time. Bye-bye.